All right, so I'm going to level with you. I am going to talk about this story about me that's been circulating for a long time now, and I actually really do want to talk about. However, that wasn't the original intent of this video. You see, I want to talk about this other urban legend about this filmmaker. I mean, the world famous filmmaker. I mean, just changed film, and this commercial he did a long time ago, and there's video evidence of it. It's very, very funny. It's pretty much a meme, but new stuff has come out about it, and I kind of wanted to talk about that, but I know it's not super exciting. I really just wanted to talk about it because not a lot of people know about it. More people know the meme, so I'm like, all right, well, to sweeten the deal a little bit, I'll talk about an urban legend about me as well, and how much of that is true. The first one is about greed, sex, and murder. No, it's actually about alcohol, wine, and Orson Welles. They're very similar. So Orson Welles made Citizen Kane. I mean, like I said, just world-renowned filmmaker. So world-renowned that people love to use him in commercials more than they did allow him to make movies. So he would do all these very classy commercials. He'd come in a suit with a very dignified voice and everything. And he was infamous for being very difficult, even like at his peak. He was just a famous prima donna. I mean, he was a genius, but I mean, just very, very difficult. And there's certainly a lot of videos and audio that have circulated of him being difficult during commercials.
Now, what is it you want? In your depths of your ignorance, what is it you want?
Whatever it is you want, I can't deliver because I just don't see it.
You isn't worth it. No money is worth it.
And there's one that's been famous for a while of him doing a wine commercial where he's drunk. And there's outtakes of this, of him just slurring his words, not knowing if other people are supposed to talk, and it's very, very funny.
Ah, the French champagne.
I've quoted this, for years. Like, anytime somebody just brings up the word French in a movie, I might just got to him going, oh, the French.
Ah, the French.
Very, very funny. Highly recommend checking it out. However, what we know about this is not true. Everyone assumed, all the videos are labeled Orson Welles drunk on wine commercial. And that's not the case. You might be wondering, how? How in God's name is it possible for that not to be drunk?
Action, please.
It turns out from the director of the commercial and the guy who was the marker in the commercial that he had a shoot the night before, and it was an all-night shoot. All sorts of things went wrong. It just went over the hours it was supposed to and everything, and so he got no sleep that night. This happens. There's shoots that go on all night. Just, again, things go wrong. So when the driver showed up to take him to the commercial, he said, well, I gotta get some sleep. I gotta get some deep, deep sleep here because I haven't slept a wink. So he takes some sleeping pills. And the ride's like maybe an hour or two, something like that. And he gets there, and he gets out, and he says, the sleeping pills are still messing with me, like I'm not myself. And the director said, well, we don't have a ton of time on this commercial, so do you think you can, soldier on through it? He says, well, I'll try. He gets up there, and it's the footage that you see. It's him getting the words wrong, slurring everything. Just getting absolutely nothing right. They do about 3 takes of this, and finally they say, why don't you go upstairs and sleep for a bit? Marker guy went up, actually helped him get out of his clothes to go to sleep, which he said was very surreal. And he slept until there's only an hour left of shooting. And he got up, he came downstairs, said, all right, let's shoot it. And he did it in that hour. He got it done. And the evidence of this, which you don't always see in these clips, is the finished commercial.
The taste of French champagne has always been celebrated for its excellence. There's a California champagne by Paul Masson, inspired by that same French excellence. This champagne doesn't come from France, but it was created by a man who did, Paul Masson.
Which a lot of people used to say, oh, well, yeah, they dubbed over his voice. I'm thinking, that's a pretty good dub. And on top of that, there's just footage of him standing upright, holding the glass, saying the line perfectly. If he was that drunk, how would you get him to stand upright and do all that stuff? Yeah, the idea that he was drunk, he just showed up, didn't care, he was totally drunk, is not true. According to the director and the person who was in charge of the clipboard, that was not the case. It was sleeping pills. And what's so funny about this is that somebody asked, oh, so he didn't get fired from that company for being difficult. And they said, oh, no, he did. It just wasn't for that. He wasn't drunk. It wasn't for that shoot. He said when he came down and they shot in an hour, he was incredibly professional, knew all the lines, got it down, basically in one take. Every single shot he did, the first take was great. But again, all these other videos of him being difficult and walking out in the middle of recordings and stuff like that. So I think that's what makes it so funny, is that you can say, well, no, he wasn't unprofessional for the reason you may think. He was unprofessional for a totally different reason. A reason that we've seen so much more from him. So that's why I love this story. Not a lot of people know about it. And my thought is, if you're gonna point out the failings of this guy, we all point out, what's amazing about him. But yes, we've also made fun of his failings, certainly too, even to the point where the Critic would make tons of jokes about Orson Welles, the old 90s TV show, and one of them was him getting drunk drinking the entire bottle of wine.
A rich, full-bodied wine, sensibly priced at $1 a jug. And now for a little magic, I will make this jug disappear.
So it's one of those things where I just wanted that story to get out a little bit more, because not enough people realize that. It's still very, very funny and very enjoyable to watch. With that said, now that I've gone on about the urban legend I wanted to talk about, let's go on to the one about me. So there is a story that's been circulating for a long time about me at a convention. I was at MagFest, and there is a panel I'm going to do. And before it, there's a panel, I don't know how much I can say on YouTube nowadays, so let's say introducing toys for grown-ups. At a lot of conventions, there's a lot of toys that grown-ups collect, so these are just grown-up toys, And in using this particular grown-up toy, there's a certain goo that you use, like in Ninja Turtles and Ghostbusters, the goo that always comes with. Yeah, that's it. So in order to show the combination of this goo and this toy, they use a cinnamon roll. No particular reason about the shape or anything like that, just a cinnamon roll. And they use this goo on the cinnamon roll, and they show how it connects to the toy for grown-ups, so that's basically what they do. And apparently after this panel was done, everybody's leaving the room and stuff like that, I'm next. So I come in, ready to make a jackass of myself, whatever I do at panels, and I see this cinnamon roll, and I go, ooh, and I just scarf the whole thing in my mouth with this goo on it. And everyone laughs their asses off, and I'm just like, warp, and I go, and I just spit it out, or I swallow it or something, and it's just totally gross, and everyone gets a big laugh, and this goes circulating all over the place. Malcolm just called me the other day. He's like, yeah, I'm doing a shoot with some people here that are fans. Is that cinnamon story true? The cinnamon roll story? So here's the sad truth. It's not true. And I say sad because I would love for this story to be true, because this so sounds like me. I have a massive appetite. I have a lot of energy, so I do kind of scarf a lot of stuff, make up for that. I love sweets. I do like cinnamon rolls, and I think it's one of those things where I'm like, it kind of me being a doofus a lot of the time. I could see myself just kind of not putting two and two together and just scarfing this thing in my mouth. But there's a couple reasons why, just very clear reasons why this didn't happen. One, every version I've heard about, it happens at MagFest. I've never been at MagFest. It's a big convention. I've never been to it. I think it's still big. I'm not sure, but I've never been there. Another thing is adult panels at conventions are 9 out of 10 times done at night. They're 18 and above panels, so they're done late at night. And the only time I've ever done a late at night panel, I did one, which was very odd. I remember it because it was the only one I ever did. It was at midnight. I'm like, well, this is strange because it's not an adult-themed one. It's just kind of a Q&A, whatever. But the only other ones I've done are ones where you do, it's with other guests. It's Cards Against Humanity with, I don't know, Team 4-Star, whoever's there. The other guests, they get together. So somebody else would remember. Somebody else would be there and bring it up. Hey, I was one of the guests there. I can verify this is totally true. I probably have a good laugh at it. I remember good things that I eat. I remember bad things I eat a lot more. I'm just going to take a wild guess and say this would not taste good if I did scarf this in my mouth. And that's the other thing. How would I got a big mouth. How would I scarf a whole cinnamon roll in my mouth? I mean, again, the image is very, very funny, but it's just not practical. As far as I remember, so here's a little bit of wiggle room, because here's the thing. I want this story to be true. It's a very, very funny story, but it just doesn't check out. So my thought is always that I kind of have this memory that I might have Mandela affected. Well, I remember coming into a panel room, and there was a bunch of like little cinnamon, like little ones like that big, where they're like, 6 all together. I remember looking at it going, like that does sound really good. And I kind of waited a bit. Nobody was claiming it, so I went to kind of, just see if like maybe I could eat one or whatever, and it was rock hard. I went, oh, that's a shame. That's the only memory I have of anything with a cinnamon bun, ever at a convention. And for all I know, maybe I got that mindset in my head after hearing this story over and over. Or maybe I'm confusing it for something that happened in the green room or something like that. What I'm getting to is that I've been doing conventions since like year 2 of doing this. I've been doing this 17 years, so that's like 16 years of doing, conventions. It's totally possible some variation of this happened and I just don't remember it. But again, there's a lot. I don't think it happened like people are saying, but I don't mind if people think it did happen that way, because it is a very funny story and it does very much sound like something I would do. If people still want to spread the story around, I'm not gonna fight you too hard on it, because it is such a funny story. I just figure there should be like something out there saying what really happened, and to the best of my recollection, like I said, I remember in one panel there were a couple little mini cinnamon buns. One was, and they were too hard to eat, so I just went like that. I don't know if somebody saw that and did something else, or if anyone I don't know, filmed this on their phone or something like that. I mean, like, if there's any evidence of this at all, or somebody else was there, one of the other guests or something, I'm open to hearing it, because I could have forgotten something, but my memory's not the best, but I really feel like I would have remembered this. I would have remembered the weird timing of it. I would have remembered, I'm assuming a bunch of our weird stuff was out on the table if the cinnamon roll was laid there. I would remember how it tasted. I would remember if I scarfed the whole thing in my mouth and everything. I would remember being at MagFest. So maybe some other variation of this happened, but the one that you've heard of, sadly, is not true. But I'm not going to fight it that hard. I'm not going to, go to battle, to fight for the truth on this, because the story's way too funny. It's a very, very funny story. Main purpose of this was to get a little bit more focus on Orson Welles' story and say, hey, you can make fun of this guy, make fun of him for the right reasons, though. He wasn't drunk, he was on sleeping pills, and he wasn't difficult there, he was difficult on every other shoot he's ever been a part of. So, with that said, if there's ever been, weird stories that have circulated around you, or, maybe at school, I mean, school's a popular place for that to happen, or something like that, go ahead, leave them in the comments below, or even, an urban legend you've heard about, another celebrity that you found out wasn't true or anything. Because this is all about the truth, but, we're also about the comedy, too. So sometimes hearing a wrong story can be very, very funny, and sometimes hearing the real story can be even funnier in how those miscommunications happen. So, leave them in the comments below, and I will just see you next time. Take care.